Hello, huddlers. I'm excited to welcome you to our sixth bonus huddle focused on some aspect of generative AI. In previous huddles, we've zeroed in on prompt crafting for written content, visual content, and podcast production. Today, we're going to take a look at the fine art of training your large language model. And I want to pause for a moment. I hadn't really thought about this as a deep subject until I started looking at some of the things that Andy Crestodina has been doing. And I realized, oh my gosh, this could really dramatically improve the quality of your output. So to guide us through this training process, to train us on training, our special guest is Andy Crestodina, co-founder and CMO of Orbit Media Solution, an award-winning digital marketing and web design agency based in Chicago. I've known Andy for, I don't know, a long time, and have always admired his ability to stay on the cutting edge. So Andy, welcome. How are you and where are you this fine day?
I'm good, Drew. I'm good. I'm in Chicago. Beautiful day here, and excited to be invited. Thanks for having me.
Well, so let's dive in. Let's just talk about an overview of the way sort of you're using, LLMs, chat GPTs of the world right now in either for your work or for on behalf of your clients.
Well, there are so many use cases for AI that it's very daunting. It's really hard for people doing change management or digital transformation to know where to begin. There's infinite use cases. So I think it's one of those where you sort of just encourage your team to experiment and find all the tiny use cases that are personalized for them specifically. But then also look at your major processes. What are your standard operating procedures? Like, are there any steps that you're taking that are more manual than they need to be based on new tools? Is there a more comprehensive way to do what you're doing, or is AI another point of view where you can give it a deliverable and have it try to improve that, or see if there's something missing from it? So we are coming at this from different angles. We just made it available to everyone and encourage them to experiment and share what they've learned. And we have broken down some of the standards things we do every day, and just we're now using it to do things like validate a new piece of copy written to just confirm that it is checking the boxes for the audience.
Interesting. So it's covering the topics that you want to do, but also sort of delivering maybe information in the right way or a digestible way, or I'm just curious on that sort of because you're using it. It's like another editing tool.
Yeah. Here's a simple way, and to jump right into kind of a practical use case. It's very hard for the human brain to look at a piece of at a page and identify what's missing. Brains just aren't good at that. It takes a lot of skill and practice to look at something and say, A and B are here, but C's missing. So that's a higher skill set, a higher level, more expert person it takes to do that kind of thing. And even then, it's kind of hard, easy to miss things. AI is amazing at gap analysis, but only if you teach it what the target audience is. If you train your AI to know the information needs of your target audience, then you can give it anything. You can give it an ad, you can give it a call to action, you can give it a web page, you can give it an email, you can give it a keyword, whatever you're looking at, and just see if there's a missed opportunity. So maybe the most valuable use case is you just give it a page, like give it a home page and say, like, what are which of my audience's information needs are not met by this piece of copy, and it will tell you.
Right. Assuming you've done a really good job explaining who your audience is and what's important to them, or just at least who they are. And I mean, as you were talking, it's like web pages, emails about an event, just regular emails, a newsletter, or on a particular topic. And what it's doing is it will empower you. You don't necessarily have to include everything that they say, but it'll at least help you see, oh yeah, I did forget that. I forgot the day that the event, something obvious like that. So that's a really interesting scenario. Just looking at for gap analysis, and that's something we haven't really talked about on the show. But okay, we promised that we would really sort of get into this world of training and what that means. So what are we talking about when we talk about training?
Well, the technical term for training a language model is the set of information, the knowledge that you give it to have it crawl, to find all of the statistical probabilities between words and phrases and tokens. That's basically training an AI. is the main thing that these engineers are doing. For example, ChatGPT 3, going back to 3, which is when we know a lot about the training data. It was trained on the Common Crawl, which is a nonprofit that has indexed like 85% of the internet. It was trained on Wikipedia. It was heavily biasing pages that were referenced 3 times at least from Reddit. There's a lot of information out there about how they trained ChatGPT. And the amazing breakthrough in AI was when they gave it massive amounts of training data. Now, there's controversy here. Image AI was trained partly on Getty Images, and now Stable Diffusion's being sued. ChatGPT was trained on New York Times, and now OpenAI is being sued. You know, what's legal? Nobody thought to block the AI bots from crawling their stuff 2 years ago, but now everyone's realizing, like, oops, you know, AI ate the internet. That's why it works. It's because it has so much data. Literally 80, it's on an unknown number, but they estimate 85% of the web. That's Common Crawl. So that's what training data is in LLMs. That's not actually what I'm talking about when I'm teaching digital.
Right.
I'm training it in that scenario a minute ago. I need to train it on my audience. What are the information needs of my audience? What are the hopes and dreams? What are the fears and concerns? What's the decision criteria for them selecting a company like mine? You know, what are they? The more you tell it about your target audience, the better it's able to craft content or evaluate something, or even like look at your analytics. I'm always uploading analytics data to AI. So yeah, training in that case is like, there's two main types of training, you could say. Training it to know everything about your target audience, uploading your personas if you've got them, or your ICPs. The other one is training it to be like you, giving it all of everything you've ever written, giving it your style guides, giving it your brand voice, giving it, you know, I've given AI hundreds of past articles and transcripts from dozens of videos I've done. And now it actually can kind of write much more like me than had I not done that. So that's like training at like the practitioner level, people like us.
So let's talk about that for a second. Let's just focus in on the first part of this, which is training it to be the Andy bot. And how does that work?
You mean training it to write like me, or to know
Yeah.
my voice?
Yeah. I mean, and literally, I mean, if it's read hundreds and hundreds of things, how did you sort of feed it that so that, and you know, in as you call it, training it to do it?
Sure. Well, now I'm not using the fancy AI tools. I could, but then my content's less useful because most of my audience doesn't have a subscription for those tools. So I'm going to do everything just using a ChatGPT Plus account. So if you have a ChatGPT Plus account, in the top left, you can click on Explore, and from there build a custom GPT. The custom GPT has a tab at the top that says Configure. It's like a little conversation you have to start training it. It asks you, you know, what you want it to talk about. You know, it just gives you some general stuff, and it tries to make a little custom version of ChatGPT for you. But if you go to Configure, you can upload large files. So this is super tedious, and it's not a productivity tip at all. But, and AI is saving no time for me, by the way. I mean, people that are doing it the way I'm doing it are spending more time in some cases. But I went to dozens and dozens of past articles, took them out of the pages, put them onto PDF, put them onto like a Google Doc, and just in big batches on a Sunday morning, made many large files that have tons of my past writing, uploaded videos to a tool that transcribes them, put those all into Google Docs, exported those as PDFs, uploaded many large files that had transcripts of me talking. So now it has tens of thousands of words of language I've generated. Now, in the final step, I tell my new custom GPT, call it Copy Helper or Andy Bot or whatever, you tell it to prioritize in its answers data that comes from its knowledge sources. Now go talk to it, ask it to write something or review a draft, or you know, give it an article and have it write the email to promote the article. It's going to do it kind of like you did it. If you ask ChatGPT to write a headline, I joke that AI stands for average information. It ate the internet, and it's giving you the average what it found. If you give it 50 headlines you've written and then ask it to write a headline in your style, it's not average information anymore. It's specific to you. So some of the best people at AI are going into their data, finding their top 25 highest performing landing pages, giving those to AI, asking AI to analyze them, finding common structure, framework, or themes, and then using that to create the next landing page. Longer process, right? You start with data, find the top performers, give it the top performers, get the pattern from those, improve the pattern from those, and then ask it to make something else. Many steps, but it's a trained model will give you far better results than a general model.
And it's so funny. So the we created this, I put it in chat, this what essentially is a trained model, which is Becca, which has about 1,000 pages of recaps from CMO Huddles to inform it. And that's its priority, to help answer questions. So it answers questions as if it was a B2B CMO. As a demonstration that this was before you could make a GPT right there. This was sort of a custom built GPT, but it's exactly the same thing. And I hadn't realized that that's exactly, we just trained it to do it.
Yeah,
so
it's training.
So we talked about that. So that gets to your voice. That's a lot of tedious work. I have a feeling this may be my Sunday afternoon. But so then we talked about also sort of this analytics and data. So let's talk about that in terms of training it to do that.
Yeah, it's not training it to be like your audience and then staying inside that conversation as you have it review web pages. That's something where you're going to want to keep that trained version. You sort of save that conversation, you rename it, you go back to it over and over. Training it to be like yourself, you might have actually done what I did, which is build a custom GPT, and now that's always saved. By the way, those are not public unless you choose to make them public. If you choose to make them public, you can now submit them to, as of Monday, there's like a marketplace for these where people can sell access to their custom GPTs. People are training GPTs to do things like write code or debug software. Yeah, you can make money on the OpenAI wants, the word, it's called OpenAI because they're making these things widely available. It's like the platform is giving us all the ability to extensively add features and build on top of it. Anyway.
Yeah, well, and by the way, Nicole Effer, we've had twice on bonus huddles like this, had built one of these things. And when that store launched, hers was like the second most popular. So she was like woohooing on LinkedIn yesterday. So it's pretty amazing.
It's really fun to watch these things that Nicole's doing.
Yeah.
But you asked about so it's less about training it in terms of empathy, but it's very powerful to find reports from analytics and give those to the AI and get insights from your analytics data that would be almost impossible to get without AI.
So let's give us an example.
Sure. So let's say you have you've sent emails over the years, and in analytics you've got the traffic acquisition report, and if you change the parameter to say campaigns, now you're looking at all your your campaigns. Well, great. When do people open those campaigns, and are people more engaged with those campaigns sometime, these days versus those days? Almost impossible to do that analysis on your own, because if you add date as a secondary dimension in analytics, it's just a bunch of numbers. I can't tell if 20231104 is a Wednesday or a Monday. how do you do that? AI does that beautifully. Export that file, import it into AI, and just ask emails, engaged with on which day of week are most likely to have higher than average engagement rates, conversion rates. It does that. It will tell you. It'll make you a chart. You can say, draw me a chart, visualize the data to show me engagement rates for all my emails per day of week. It will show you in like minutes. Like you can also give it your analytics data showing your campaign performance, and upload at the same time your email service provider data, and have it draw a chart showing the full funnel view. This only takes a few minutes. The full funnel view that shows open rates, click-through rates, visits, engagement rates, conversion rates. Like, I don't think anybody's ever even seen, you've probably never seen that chart. Anyone ever seen a full funnel email marketing chart from the open to the the end of their web page visit, it's like, that's not a report you get anywhere, but AI will happily merge together data sets and then draw charts for you showing, in that example, full funnel campaign metrics from, was it delivered to, when did they leave my website?
You got to believe that the MailChimps of the world are going to build that in. I mean, they got to be able, because I mean, for us to have to export that data and then put it in there and so forth, you would think that given the fact that the more information you have about your usage, the more likely you will, you would think these things are going to happen that way. What do you think?
Well, MailChimp doesn't have your GA4 data. So that's what I'm suggesting, that we allow AI to merge together our email service provider data with our Google Analytics.
Aha.
Right. That's really unusual to be able to do that. Or, I mean, there's a million use cases like that, where I'm uploading, take all your data out of LinkedIn and then, or out of YouTube Studio, give it to AI. I mean, I have a report that shows me videos on which topics grow my YouTube subscribers at which rates. The answer to that question, there are no metrics in YouTube Studio for that. New subscriber per topic, it can't do that. But AI will organize all my videos into topics and then find correlations between topics and new subscribers and put it on a chart, like a heat map matrix. Those metrics do not exist in the wild, but AI will invent new metrics for you.
And so just help walk me back through, how did the AI sort of figure out what the video topic or, content was?
The prompt is simply infer from the titles of these videos the topic, selecting from these 6 topics, and you give it to topics from your content strategy. Or you can just, if you're lazy about it, you can just say, I'm uploading a CSV file with the performance of all my videos.
Okay.
Append to this file a new column that shows, it aligns each one with a topic, provide a link to download. So it adds something to your spreadsheet. You click to download, you review the spreadsheet. You'll actually get better results if you do that kind of stuff manually. Like, I exported all of my, like a year's worth of LinkedIn data, and then I manually tagged everything for a category because I didn't love how AI did it. So
right.
I mostly don't have shortcuts for you, Drew. I've got some long ways to do things, but the insights are useful.
Yeah, but I mean, I think part of this is sort of creative usages to get information that probably could make a huge difference to your business. And the folks listening to this don't have to necessarily do this work themselves, but they do need to be able to ask the questions. And in order to ask the questions, you have to know the art of the possible. And that's what this is about, is sort of helping that. So I followed most of what you were talking about. I'm wondering if it makes sense perhaps to do another use case here, just to sort of help folks track what we're doing.
Sure. Well, I think the most valuable thing I've ever done with AI is, I'll break it down for you. You've got very good and AI-friendly personas that you upload that list your audience's goals and pain points and emotional triggers and their decision criteria for selecting a company in your category. Or you do that, you get a head start on that by writing a prompt that says, build me a persona for job title, in a geography, at a company size, in an industry, and you have it make a persona for you. It'll almost always be named Alex. I don't know why. It just always makes your persona Alex or Emily. And then it's going to suck. So improve it, right?
Okay.
I don't trust
Why is it going to
AI.
suck, by the way?
Because one prompt is never going to be an amazing, like, you always have to improve these things, right? That's what I've learned. I don't trust AI. Of course, none of us should, right? You have to, whatever it gives you back, you need to validate it, look closely at it. So Alex Smith, blah, blah, blah. And it's going to miss some stuff because it doesn't know your specific audience.
Right.
It made that persona after you wrote, 25 words. And of course, it's not perfect. So go improve it, tell it to improve it. Now you've got a good persona. And you have some faith in it. Now you can upload, you go to a web page and you can just copy and paste the text, or you can save the HTML, or you can do a full page screenshot using a Chrome extension. There's 3 ways, doesn't matter which.
Okay.
And then you upload, then you give it that web page and you say, rate the extent to which this web page meets or does not meet the information needs of this persona. And it will look at the page and say, like, your audience cares about X, but you didn't talk about that. Basically, right?
Right.
Or you can give it your page and your competitor's page and say, build me a matrix with my persona's prioritized information needs in the first column, the extent to which I met their information needs in the second column, the extent to which my competitor met their information needs in the third column. And in this, it's quite fast. If your persona is good, and all this is based upon an accurate persona, then you're looking at that and you're like, wow, my competitor goes way deeper, So we sell websites, does these easy updates to their website as an important decision criteria for my audience. It's not number one, but it's top 5. Did my page mention that? Did my competitor's page mention that? To what extent does my copy meet or not meet the information needs of this audience? That's conversion 101. No one takes action and becomes a lead unless they're confident that the option is good for them because they saw the answer. They felt, their pain was on the page. So AI-powered, persona-driven gap analysis for key pages, money. Very valuable, very fast, highly recommended.
And I'm imagining, because one page is, obviously a web experience is often more than just the landing page, although landing page is like a huge part of it. I'm imagining that you could have it examine it and say, give me 2 options for how you think this would be better. And that would be your first A/B test for landing pages, because that's really where it's going to meet the road, right? The AI is giving you A interpretation and saying you're missing this. But then you could put all that stuff on there and find out, well, that didn't really help with conversions, so something was wrong. But at least it's helping inform, it's helping aid the process, because otherwise so much of A/B testing is, well, I like this or I like this. So does that make sense? Is that part of,
No.
is this part of the, because one of the things that you talk about is, it's a gap analysis. We're really talking about creating options and smarter options that you can keep testing and refining, right?
Yeah, I mean, if it says like you missed two important points for your audience,
Right.
and then you look at it, and you're like, well, really only one of those points aligns with my offer. Great, you just got an idea. But the next step is really obvious. Sometimes it's like I'm already in the AI, so you can just say, write an outline for a new page, or craft a paragraph for a new page block, or suggest ways in which I could better address that need. It's about meeting visitors' expectations and satisfying people's information needs. So you're already in the AI. So if it identified a gap on a page, you can have it try to take a shot at filling that gap. It won't be good. It'll be bad,
right.
but fix it.
Right. But you could say, okay, that was a good first draft. Now you're the best copywriter in the world. Ask it to do again, and even ask it to say, what did I miss? And fix this yourself. But so yeah, I think that a couple of the key things that you've said so far is just a reminder of the importance of not taking that first piece of output, no matter what it is you're doing.
I think it's absurd. I see articles all the time that say, here's my 5 favorite prompts.
Yeah.
Prompt number 1, write me an article about X. Like, dude, that's not going to be a good article. It's average information.
Right.
You did not tell it anything about your audience, what their needs are. You didn't give it any information about your brand. So if productivity is your only goal, the cost for the cheapest content in the world just went down to 0. 1 prompt will give you an article, but that is not a strategic approach to marketing.
Right.
If you train it on the audience, identify an information need of the audience, have it drafted an outline on that topic that satisfies that information need, and then move that outline into your other trained GPT where it knows your brand voice. You see how now I'm combining it? I'm going to make the jump. This prompt, this conversation over here is very empathetic. It knows the audience quite well. This conversation over here knows my voice, my brand standards, my tone, and very well. So you use this one to help with content strategy and topics and brainstorming and outlines, but then move the outline into, in my case, the custom GPT that knows my voice. So you have two different trainings, one trained on the audience, one trained on you. The audience one, you end up with an outline, move the audience into the other one, and then have it draft if you like. I still write everything by hand personally, but yeah, if you want, you can have it try to write a first draft for you.
Yeah, I mean, sort of my addition to that would be, and I think it's going where you're going, which is, I always want it to be my IP, right? I always want it to be, so I know that these are original thoughts. These tools will help me identify the gaps and things that I need to cover, but I want to sort of come at it through my sort of strategic lens and how I think about things and so I will then say, here is the outline. Like, these are the 6 things I want you to cover, even with the headline for each of those. Then say, write it. And now I know you have a half a decent chance of creating an original piece of content that might have taken you 4 hours that now takes you an hour. Plus all the work that you'd already done way in advance, which is the key part of this.
You got to choose your own adventure. What do you love to do? Some people like to use it for brainstorming and outlines, and then they write every word themselves. Other people want to write their own outline and then have it write the first draft. It's really just, it's a question of what do you trust it to do? What do you enjoy about your job? But there's another tactic in there that when you said that, Drew, you reminded me. If you wanted to be like you or to have your point of view, there's another type of gap analysis that I've played with. It's very simple. It doesn't require really any training, but I'll give you some prompts that you can use to try to find gaps on the internet. The internet's not finished yet. There's gaps on the whole internet, right? Listen to this prompt. What are the most common assertions, or what are the most common topics in Industry X that are least likely to be covered by the popular blogs? It will tell you what's unlikely to be covered by the big blogs, or what common assertions in our industry are least likely to be supported by evidence. It'll tell you what the most common unsupported claims are. Then you can decide, like, do I want to go after that? What false things do people in my industry believe to be true? What true things do people in my industry believe to be false? It will tell you what people like, which is fascinating, right? It's like, how do you, that is almost impossible to do that kind of analysis. What topics are missing from the entire body of work in a category? It will tell you.
That's amazing.
Yeah. And then you can decide, like, this is thought leadership research. Then you can decide, do I have a point of view on this? If not, great. Hey, if that's a third rail, no one touches that one for a good reason, fine, you just walk away. But it's interesting to see what it tells you. Like, for example, what counter narrative opinions, it's all about the prompt, right? Those words are powerful. What counter narrative opinions are least likely to be discussed by thought leaders in Industry X? Don't you want to know? Aren't you dying right now to type that into a prompt?
I am. Yeah. I'm so glad we're recording this, and we'll have a transcript so we can go and copy this, and we will for huddlers who get our recaps. These prompts will be in there so you can go and test them. There is a question. I'm going to go back a little bit to, we know that, for example, large language models can't do it. Addition, right? You say 2 + 2 equals, and we know that. So there's some question about the accuracy of a chat GPT when it's sort of looking at quantitative outcomes as you described. And so I do think there's a difference in those two things, but could you just sort of address this notion of the accuracy of the gap analysis or the chart creation that you described, for example, in the email analysis situation?
Yeah, I don't really much trust AI generally. I also don't much trust analytics. You know that every number in Google Analytics is wrong. There are no accurate numbers in Google Analytics. It's 100% wrong because not everyone accepts cookies. It underreports everything. So my perspective on AI is similar to my perspective on GA. I'm only looking for clues. I don't need it to be that accurate. I'm not betting the farm on the click-through rate of that campaign. Like, this is not, But, if you give it enough data and it comes back and tells you, yeah, these topics are more engaging in the inbox, open and click-through rate. These topics are more engaging on your blog, low bounce rate, high engagement rate, high conversion rate. That's really interesting, right? I might get an idea. Well, wow, if these are popular on the, after the visitor lands, maybe I should be promoting that content in a different channel. It's all just clues. So I don't trust it very much at all. I don't need to trust it. I'm never expecting it to be accurate. I don't hope of course it's not accurate. And people are like, oh, it's biased. Yeah, guess what? It's trained on the internet. If you click on a Google search result and you land on a blog, how much do you trust that blog? It's one blog. We're all content creators, right? That blogger may not be. So I find it strange that people seem to have a higher standard for expectations of accuracy from AI than they do from the internet in general. That's where AI came from. It ate the internet. It's never going to be more accurate than what's out there. Of course, it's biased. Of course, it's inaccurate. It's fine. It's fine. None of the prompts I've suggested here really rely on deep accuracy, and none of the actions I'm taking rely heavily upon perfectly, 100% correct results. I'm just looking for clues.
Yeah, well, and these clues, though, are really helpful because, I mean, you may miss, if it suggests that something's missing on your website page and you do landing page tests, you'll find out if that was helpful, but it will help direct you to, so you go, oh, I missed that completely, because we do. It's like we miss typos, we miss things, and this will help. So use it as directional input in the analytics part to help guide further research, and then you can validate it, right?
Yeah.
And if it was right, that's awesome, because if for example, if it finds that these types of videos on YouTube do better consistently in terms of hitting your goal, which is to get more subscribers, you want to know that information.
Yep. It's potentially valuable. Of course, you have to act on it. You're going to look closely at it. You're going to dismiss some of the things that it recommended. But think of it this way. So you've got a page or a report or a headline or whatever. You give it to Drew. Drew looks at it. He's got a point of view. You give it to Andy. He looks at it. He's got a point of view. You give it to ChatGPT. It looks at it. It's got a point of view. That's what I think the proper use is here. It's like I joked earlier, AI stands for average information. I think AI stands for another input. It's another input. No one, don't bet the farm on this, but use it as a point of view. It's like you've got stakeholder interviews, right? You're going to talk to 8 people before you recraft your conversion strategy. Now you've got 9 because ChatGPT is one more person for your panel.
Right. And by the way, it could be 100 because you've defined different personas already and baked it in there. So you could, in theory, say, okay, you are now XYZ, examine this.
Yeah. I mean, this is a CMO group, so we all know when to ignore a report, whose advice to dismiss, when their input's not helpful. I mean, if you ask me a question about brand strategy, to ignore that because I know nothing about brand strategy. That's proper to not take my advice on that. Ask me about keyword research or conversion rates or something else. But if there's a time and a place for different points of view, and AI is another point of view.
So just a reminder, the folks here, feel free to raise your hand to ask a question. But you had some slides that you wanted to share, a little show and tell, perhaps?
I can, yeah.
Let's do it.
I'm giving a presentation next week on entire screen. Where is? That's funny. My Zoom controls. 1 second.
No problem.
I think Zoom just updated today. Whiteboard. Let me see if this works.
Okay.
Share. You're probably seeing.
Yeah.
Are you seeing presentation view or are you seeing a slide?
I'm seeing now it's presentation view. A second ago, it was regular view. There you go.
A bit frustrating. No, it's not going to work in presentation view. So let me try this once more.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Whiteboard, Chrome. Yes.
No, I mean, we now see major slide, although we see the little slides on the left, but that's fine.
It won't be fine because these slides have animations in them.
Oh, okay. Then put it in slideshow mode down at the bottom in PowerPoint.
but for that, I want to share my whole screen.
Okay.
So,
One more
uh,
time.
trying again. What? Google Chrome.
Da-da-da.
Share whiteboard.
Whiteboard.
That is totally not what I want to share.
Exactly.
Wow, Zoom does not have a share, the share full screen, basic, advanced, files, apps, add apps. What? I'm sorry, guys. This
Okay.
is
Well, just try share screen and then do slideshow mode in PowerPoint.
yeah, yeah. What if I go to share now
Okay.
and
And then what?
share new share and share this in PowerPoint. This may work. Oh, you're probably just seeing this share one
I'm
more
just seeing
time.
the slide. Okay.
Share screen. Oh, here it is. This should be it.
Okay.
Okay. You can see it's a build me a
Yay.
persona. Okay, this is
Yes.
working now. Wait, that's
Okay,
weird.
great.
Share screen. Okay, sorry about that. I'm going to break this down right now and just do a quick version. Build me a persona of a commercial satellite operator. I'm a space company. Let me go back. We're a spacecraft launch services company. Our target is commercial satellite operators. I have a conference called Content Jam every year in Chicago, and I have to come up with new stuff for it. So this was me coming up with a example of a company. So
Okay.
here's our AI powered persona. Build me a persona of a commercial satellite operator who works for a global telecom company in North America with $1 billion in revenue. It's kind of a mid-sized telecom. List their goals, roles, challenges, pain points, and decision criteria for selecting a new satellite launch company. Okay, so it comes back. There's Alex. This is Alex Johnson. Alex Johnson has these roles, has these goals, has these challenges, has these pain points. And these are Alex's decision criteria for selecting a satellite launch company. It's
Okay.
wrong. Even a few minutes of research, and I showed this to Ardith Albee, you may know Ardith. She's like, Andy, I don't trust this. Good, Ardith, I don't either. I did this in front of her, and she's like, that might be totally wrong. I'm like, thank you for the input. I totally agree. So even with a bit of research, I realized like insurance and risk management is a consideration for this audience. So I tell it to add that criteria. Now, you've got in your hands a synthetic version of your target audience, and you could ask it anything. It's inexhaustible, day or night. You could run sales scripts against it. You could ask it what social posts it might click on. You can ask it what key phrases it might search for, what research studies you could produce that it would find useful, what it hates about researching your industry. We should all know that, right? What is our
Hang on
audience?
1 second. So is this a separate GPT that you've created?
No.
Or is this is just a prompt based, you've informed it about this thing and now you can ask it questions because of the input that it has?
Yeah, you save that, you name it, you come back to it. It's
Right.
called
Got it.
persona. And
Sure.
then just talk to it all the time. Hey, I wrote a new landing page. Hey, I'm making an ad. Hey, think
Right.
about if it's not hitting you yet, maybe later today, like you're going to realize like, wow, it'd be super great to have an artificial version of my audience. Okay, so then I'm going to keep that. That's my satellite operator. You get the idea.
Yep.
Now, instead of just trying to write articles, I then like to just say, this is lazy, write 10 headlines. That's not going to give you a good answer. That's
Right.
when I call AI like average information.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, say, what are the prioritized needs of this persona? List them, and it gives you lots of interesting information needs that they have. And some of these might be very useful. You can edit them, try to improve them. Now, my next prompt. See, these are like sequences. You're an expert content strategist skilled in selecting topics that build awareness and trust. What information does this persona need to do their job well? Gives me lots of ideas. Oh, look at that one. Assessing and managing risks associated with launches. That's a great topic. Now I'm going to start talking to it about possible articles and headlines. Suggest 10 articles for the following topic, assessing and managing risks associated with satellite launches. First, build the persona, then identify the persona's information needs, then ask for articles based on that topic, one of the topics. And some of these are very, very good, right?
And by the way, I'm also wondering, you could also do probably in that, identify all these topics and which ones haven't been answered on the internet.
Yeah.
As frequent, right?
Yep.
Okay.
In fact, in this method, I say like, okay, I'll skip ahead. if I ask it, and I've written, I had it write a content strategy. Here I had it write a call to action to subscribe, which is done very badly on many websites. But here are some of the thought leadership questions. What are people in my industry afraid to answer? What questions are they afraid to answer? What false things do they think are true? What are the most common assertions that are unlikely to be supported by evidence? What topics are missed by the big blogs? What counter-narrative opinions are least likely to be discussed? And then I can ask it that, like, here's me doing that thought leadership research. What are the most common assertions that are unlikely to be supported? What counter-narrative opinions are least likely to be discussed? And it gives them to me. Space debris is exaggerated. The threats of space debris are exaggerated. The space law and governance is hardly ever discussed. Yeah, wow, I believe that. These are likely. Now I'm going to go have it make an outline, and my outline can include that requirement. You're a content strategist skilled in crafting detailed, memorable articles that delight. Look at my words. They're memorable. They delight my audience. Words matter, right? You have to, over time, you'll find words that you like to use in prompts. I find words like memorable to be useful in prompts. What's wrong with the internet? What's bad about content strategies? Put the remedies for those things into your prompts. Write an outline for an article on the following topic. Include and highlight sections that will allow the opportunity to cover assertions that lack evidence, if they're relevant, and opportunities to discuss counter narratives, if they're relevant. And then I copied and pasted in the topic that it suggested earlier. See, I'm building up. Here we go, going farther, deeper into it. And then it writes an outline for the article. The vital role of satellite, debunking myths. This is like assertions. I'm asking it to create an outline that'll give me the opportunity to put in strong opinion, something memorable, thought leadership. This is okay. I don't think it's amazing. I would absolutely edit that. Now that it's edited, for the first draft, I can then go into my custom GPT that I trained on my topic. You click explore in the top left, assuming you're paying the $20 a month. And then here is the configure tab where you give it your general instructions and you upload gobs and gobs of training data. Now it has hundreds of articles that I've written. Great. Now, now that I have that custom GPT, I called mine Orbit Copy Helper, I can have a chat. I can go to that and then give it my persona. I don't want to talk to AI unless it knows my audience. It's just kind of a waste of time. So I give it my persona, which I moved into a Word doc, and I ask it to write the article. Make it based on this outline. Use the voice, tone, style, and formatting patterns found in your knowledge sources. I uploaded a ton of stuff. Include some bullet lists. The total length should be so long. Keep paragraphs short. Use some very short paragraphs. Add impactful sound bites. I also, in a different version, I gave it all my punchiest quotes, like laugh lines from presentations or joke slides, stuff like that. Then it comes back and it expanded upon the article using my tone of voice. And I have a first draft. So I trained it on the audience and eventually did some content strategy prompting to get to a topic and outline. I trained it on my voice, gave it the outline and some other requirements, and it came back with a draft. Expand the sections. Use shorter words. What needs data and examples? Suggest actual examples of data that supports these assertions. What needs visuals? What subject matter experts should I collaborate with? Go research influencers on these topics and come back and suggest to me who I should who I should include as contributor quotes. You may know, if you know my content, you know that I never write articles without contributor quotes. Journalists don't write articles without sources. I don't know why marketers keep writing articles without contributor quotes. And then I have all the methods for writing search optimized, conversion optimized pages that use kind of similar, that also are based on the persona. How does that page align or does not align with their information needs? Here it'll analyze the page and show you the ways in which it aligned with their information needs, show you the ways in which it did not align with their information needs. You can also give it, ask it to write an outline for an improvement that would better cover the audience's information needs. So this is examples, you can see how this is where that's all coming from. But it only knows these things because we trained it, right? Because we told it a lot about the audience. That's the main idea.
Pause. Wow. Cool. One sort of thing I noticed that you would never see in a Nicole effort thing. There's no pleases or thank yous. You're not very polite in your prompting. I just want to point that out.
I have this is an opinion and it's not based on evidence, but I don't think that we should ever say please or thank you to the AI. I think that intimacy with AI is a risk. They talk about like the risks to humanity. Is AI an existential risk? If people start to become intimate with an artificial intelligence, that's a problem. It's gonna get us. Like, I do not believe you don't say thank you to your car. Why do we should not say thank you to AI? We should keep our distance from AI. Don't get intimate with AI. Don't let it become, like that. There's a movie about this, right? Like, yeah, thank you, Tim said. The movie's called Her. I don't
Yeah.
want that. I am not polite. The counter argument is Chris Penn says that you should say please and thank you because those are also enhancing your prompt, and some of the most detailed answers on the web are quite polite, and you wanted to reference those. So I'm never going to say please or thank you to AI. That's my general rule. It's going to do my bidding, and I'm going to keep intimacy and politeness for humans.
Well, we're going to have we must have a celebrity face off between you and Nicole on that. But I think her thing is simply that the results are better.
Right.
And
Yeah.
that's
Chris too.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's a weird thing. So, you all can make your decision. I kind of like using please and thank you mainly just because I'm a gracious person.
Well,
And so
it's worth a test. If you
yes,
want to do that here, I don't know why my screen doesn't share today. But if you have a ChatGPT Plus account, you
right.
can always go to the custom instructions tab and
Uh-huh.
just tell it how would, just pretend as if I was polite to you as a custom instruction. The custom instructions are a way to sort of do what these custom GPTs are doing. Custom
Interesting.
GPT is like a ton of new knowledge sources, but
Right.
the custom instructions are things where you could just say like, avoid the word unlock and unleash. Every time I have AI try to write me a headline, it's like, unleash the secrets of, dude, I will never write that. That
Yes.
sounds super weird. That's not me at all. So you just put avoid words into your custom instructions and it will do it every time.
I didn't know
All
that. And
all
I've
prompts
got a
will.
long list of those. Impactful. And one of the things it likes to do when it is right in a world. No. I never was. You are not going to see that but so I love the fact that you could do that.
Yeah, AI, it's AI. There's a lot of AI typical language.
Yes.
This is the training topic again, Drew. We're back to where we started, right? Tell it what to quit doing and it will get better.
Well, one question for you on that real fast is I have noticed, and one of my pet peeves is the laziness of the language choices. Like they'll use the same adjective or verb combos in paragraph after paragraph. And that's to me lazy writing. And can you get it to not do that too?
Yeah, that's actually a setting in the rarely discussed playground. It's the platform.openai.com. And if you go in there, there's kind of more of a UX where you can change things like temperature and repetitiveness of words. So there are settings for that, but you could simply put in a custom instruction,
Right.
you know,
Okay.
or just, maybe there's a short paragraph you put on every prompt, like, you've read Strunk and White. I don't know, tell it to be a good writer. It
Yeah.
probably works.
And that's one of Nicole's things she talks about, you are the world's best copywriter at so and so. And I haven't seen that work as well as I would like yet, but clearly there's a lot of experimentation. So first of all, I feel like I need an hour now to go back and look through all of the things that you talked about. So I'm so appreciative of you spending time with us. how can people find you? We're going to share your LinkedIn profile on chat, but other ways that people can engage with you. You have a newsletter or anything else?
Yeah. So we added about a year ago, we added AI to our content strategy. So every 2 weeks, I write an article about content marketing, SEO, Google Analytics, conversion optimization, and AI. So AI is now a topic that we officially cover. So if you go to orbitmedia.com and go to the blog, you can choose AI as the category. And from there, you can see like the 6 or 7 articles I've written about AI, and each of them has the prompts. Most of what we discussed today there's like detailed articles and videos that walk through the whole thing.
Awesome. Well, I'm just going to upload all of them to my GPT. It'll be my
You should.
GPT. All right.
You can tell
all right.
AI, hey, you read the Orbit blog, rewrite this page based on the best practices from the Orbit blog, and it'll do it.
I love it. All right. Well, Andy, thank you so much for joining us. Really appreciate you being here with us today. It's really been enlightening, delightfully enlightening,
Memorable,
and
delightful,
memorably enlightening.
unexpected. Yeah. I appreciate the opportunity, and everyone, please connect with me on LinkedIn and reach out anytime if I can ever help with anything.